This is Justin Amazon on Friday, March 16th, 2018. Taking a look at Amazon on the 5-minute. This is the last few days with the triangle that broke down, had a nice move lower into the bottom of the triangle range around the 1578 price. And then this last bit here on the right is today. Again, another candle that came down, wicked into it, bounced. Looked like there was a chance things could be going higher. We'll zoom in on today and see that you can see here there's a bit of a lower high, a bit of a higher low into some more consolidation here that ultimately just continued lower. This was kind of the last chance to have a bounce off of the lows here, but then just moved lower and lower and lower right here into very close to the 1578 price. I actually saw this candle and thought, hey, that's the price I wanted to bounce. I had hoped that it would, I was watching for a bounce to come back up, like I was saying, back up into the highs in here around, actually I think I wanted it back up to 1600, at least back up to 1590, which it had done yesterday and came close to today, and it didn't bounce there. I did get in with an absolute zero, so I just risked an R to buy at that candle, a nice buying candle at support, and it didn't work. That happens. It didn't work. It actually, the very next candle actually broke lower. I should have just exited and made this candle, this one, where it moved, excuse me, it looked like it would move a little bit higher. And I think I had a meeting or something. I was not able to look at the stock until later, and down in here, something that's like, oh, it's gone, nothing left there. And had I taken a look, so I was just looking at that when I looked at the chart, saw that candle bouncing, and thought, okay, go get in higher. I should have, first of all, waited for a close. Second of all, should have taken a couple minutes and just looked at the triangle shape that I had just shown with my cursor here to see that. And this is looking more bearish, this breakdown. It didn't bounce. Even this breakdown below it, this candle below looked like it could have bounced. This one, getting back up, should have, again, waited for a close above this price for it to actually be bouncing. And at that point, you could have said, okay, this didn't work. I can get in lower on the very next candle, even this one. I'll show you the options of what would have happened had you bought there for a quick move and then just chop sideways into just a small slight rollover, getting into the below 1570 by the end of the day. If you take a look at the, so I bought the, let's see, the 1590 call on this candle right as it opened, and I think that was, I got filled at like 80, and that just lost all its premium the rest of the day. I should have exited anywhere in here just to salvage something, but by this point it was like $25. It's like, oh, that's not much of anything. But again, should have just cut my loss at that point and gotten out. I guess I was hoping, probably you'd say I was hoping for anything to happen off of an area down here, but I mean, it didn't even retest back up to this price. That's how bearish it was. I mean, sideways to bearish it was. It didn't even come back up. It just kind of, just nothing. But even though it did nothing, and that was not a great sound effect, but even though it did nothing, had you gotten it on this candle or a candle after that candle, so you got a bad fill. You got filled at like $4 or $4.43. You got filled at the high with a stop. Well, then, let's say you had 100 or 1R for your 1R, and that broke down. Okay, get in on the next candle, retesting. You're below it. Maybe it retests back up. Maybe you got in at, what's this? Low was 309. Maybe you got in at 350. Maybe you got in at 4 with a stop at 3. Maybe would have been stopped down on that because of the spread, or maybe not. But you could have bought at 4, let's say, and just ridden that up to high 670, 667. Maybe you got out at 6 and that would have been 2R. Just for these 3 candles. And like we learned yesterday, just to get out. And when it does a quick bearish move, just get out, take your profits, and run. The rest of this was just some chop. The lows I put in here were very similar to the put that I was in yesterday. That it put in some lows that you could have bought $4 by $3, which would have been the same trade back over here that worked. If you had just bought at 4 on any of these and a stop at 3, you most likely were not stopped out. There weren't any wicks down below 350, and that would have been able to take a profit. Maybe again at 6, just another 2R move finally here had you held on. But at some point, probably could have exited for either a small loss or a small gain anywhere in here, which would have been anywhere in this non-move with a trending bearish edge to it, staying below the 21 exponential. Just kind of came back up, not even touched, did actually touch, and that was kind of another candle that would have been, breakdown of that candle, get in, could have bought on that candle. Breaking down some more, let's say you got in that one at 450 right at the close of the candle and just hung on to that for 2R. Again, that would have been 2R right there. So I had a lot of things going on this day. I saw the candle that I wanted to see off of a support, bought right after it, and didn't work. And that's how I did not trade well today. But positive week, and looking for more next week if we take a zoom back out. So this is the hourly. It's showing us a bit more of a larger pullback. Like this move up had a small pullback. This one had a bigger pullback below, much quicker below the moving averages. This move today actually gets us a little bit lower, pushing a little bit lower, and coming back to the daily. Oh boy, let's see what it does here on the daily. We're still really high on the exponentials. Just like these 3 candles, we had these 3, then this one came down and touched. This one went through. Today's actually went through. So we're not quite exactly here, or it's not playing out like here. It does still look very similar. And let me actually zoom in on this. So, we were staying pretty steady above these 3, just like these 3. This one came down and touched, and this one broke through where you did that all in one candle. So if we have some more continued move, we have the lowering, lessening bullish trend here, some more actual higher volume on this bearish move. That's 4 bullish days in a row. That's what we had here. 1, 2, 3, 4. With a lot of volatility. We have not had 4 bearish days in a row. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and that was sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. That was a bigger pullback. 3 here, which was a much larger pullback. This was I think all this combined was around was it 10% move down, 20%, something like that. I don't remember what it was there. And then we've had these smaller 3 days here, 4 days here, and what's been a bullish market in some instances, making some higher highs on some of the indices, but that's not for here. Anyway, it's possible to have some more of a pullback and a similar bounce like we had off of probably the 20 exponential. I've just got the 21 shown here, so a little lower, but it's possible to pull down a little further. And if we do that next week, let's see, on the 5-minute, at least get into the 1550s down in this area where we had some lows in here. Probably some of the other prices we were looking at were getting lower into any of these areas here. So this was I think 1540, this one was 1528, this one was 1514. I'd love that 1514 price again. That'd be great. So we'll see if we get down there next week. For right now, it's looking bearish. At any point, though, if we have a bullish gap above any of these candles, that is a bullish gap, and go off of this, we'll see what happens event-wise over the weekend. It's possible Monday to gap up and race higher. We didn't have that happen on any of these on a daily, not having a bullish gap and go like that. This one, was a nice sizable gap up. Let's see, this was a gap up, and then just continued, but nothing after the 4 days or 3 days of moves. Just maybe this was kind of a bullish gap here after a lot of buying. So we'll take a look at that Monday, see what happens to start out the next week. So this is Amazon, and we'll see you soon. Just an Amazon. I say this is Amazon, just an Amazon. See you soon.